Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to Dental Diaries. If you are new here, my name is Dr. Ghazala Hussain, and in today's video we are breaking down everything you need to know about odontogenic keratosis. Trust me, this is one of the most frequently asked cysts in competitive exam, theory papers and even in Viva exam. It is very much important topic of oral pathology, and make sure to watch till the end because I'll also share exam oriented points and Viva tips. Before beginning with odontogenic keratosis, if any cyst come in the exam, first you need to write the definition of cyst, which was given by Kramer in 1974. He defined cyst as a pathological cavity having fluids, semi-fluids or gaseous content and is not created by the accumulation of pus. It is frequently but not always lined by epithelium. Mark the line, it is frequently but not always lined by the epithelium. So some cysts are lined by epithelium, they are known as the true cyst, whereas some cysts are not lined by epithelium, they are known as the pseudocyst. What are the parts of the cyst? There are three parts of the cyst: lumen, epithelial lining and the connective tissue capsule or the wall. Let's begin with the odontogenic keratocyst. First, it is a developmental cyst. According to definition, it was defined by Philipson in 1956 as an odontogenic keratocyst showing a characteristic histological appearance of keratinization with intrinsically high grade growth potential. It is the highlighting feature of the cyst. So it was named keratocyst because we know cyst has a three parts: the lumen, the epithelial lining and the connective tissue. So the epithelial lining produces so much keratin that almost completely fill the cyst lumen. So it is named as keratocyst. What is the history or taxonomy of the odontogenic keratocyst? In 1926, Hoyer described it as cholestoma, which means a cystic mass of keratin squamous with a living matrix. He said that it is a cystic mass of keratin within which there is a living matrix. In 1945, Robinson described it as a primordial cyst because the cyst arises from the primordial or primitive odontogenic epithelium before enamel formation. So Robinson sees that the cyst arises from primitive epithelium or the remnants of the dental lamina or enamel organ. In 1956, Philipson coined the term odontogenic keratocyst based on its characteristic keratinization. But in 1967, Toller regarded it as a tumor because he see the cyst shows aggressive behavior, high chances of recurrence, and nevoid basal cell carcinoma association. Based on this nature, it was regarded as a benign neoplasm or tumor rather than a conventional cyst. Again in 2017, WHO reverted it to cyst classification after concluding that mutation in PTCH gene were seen in nevoid basal cell carcinoma associated patient. ये जो जीन में म्यूटेशन है ये मोस्टली सीन करी जाती है उन पेशेंट में जिनमें निवॉइड बेसल सेल कार्सिनोमा होता है, ज़्यादातर उन पेशेंट में देखी जाती है, इसीलिए उन्होंने क्या करा, ट्यूमर की जगह उसको वापस से सिस्ट की क्लासिफिकेशन में रिवर्ट बैक कर दिया. What is the etiopathogenesis? First, it arises from the remnants of dental lamina, the cell rest of Serre, or the extension of basal cell from the overlying epithelium. Both pathways point to primordial odontogenic tissue origin. Now, the third pathway is the molecular pathway, in which normally HH ligand is responsible for embryological role in teeth. It binds to PTCH gene. The PTCH gene exert a normal inhibitory effect on SMO which act as an oncogene. But in mutated state, HH ligand binds to PTCH receptor, but PTCH receptor is mutated, so there is no inhibitory effect, and the SMO act as a oncogene, resulting in the development of odontogenic keratocyst. Or due to the mutation in PTCH gene, there is a syndrome association which is known as nevoid basal cell carcinoma or Gorlin-Gott syndrome. What is the clinical features? First, the clinical demographics. It is the most important clinical feature of the odontogenic cyst that there is a bimodial age distribution. Two peaks arise. First peak occur in second and third decade, in which there is a high incidence, and second peak arise at fifth decade. Site: mostly it occurs more commonly in mandible than in maxilla. In mandible, the most common site is body and ascending ramus, especially in the third molar region, whereas in maxilla, it occur in the third molar region, cuspid region. Sex: it is more common in males rather than females. Race: more common in blacks than in white population. Now, the sporadic OKC, it occurs both age peaks in the first peak, second or third decade, and the second peak, fifth decade. Usually, it is a single lesion and there is an acquired PTCH mutation. Patient often are unaware due to lack of early clinical swelling. There is a presence of pain, discharge, paresthesia of lower lip and teeth. If unaware, there is a high risk of sudden pathological fracture due to hollowed out medullary spaces. We all know it is the most important feature of OKC that the cyst extend in anterior-posterior direction through medullary cavity. Cortical bole expansion occurs very late. Means the cyst expand in anterior-posterior direction rather than buccolingual direction. So due to anterior-posterior expansion, cortical bone expansion occurs very late and there is a hollowing of the medullary spaces. If the patient is unaware about this, sudden pathological fracture can be occur. In maxilla, the cyst expands and may involve the maxillary sinus. Maxillary cysts tend to become secondarily infected. Even when small than mandible, it is diagnosed at an early stage. Now the syndromic or the NBCC or Gorlin-Gault syndrome. It occurs exclusively in earlier age peaks, third decade. Multiple cysts occur simultaneously. It has inherited PTCH gene mutation. NBCC का classic triad है, इसमें multiple basal cell epitheliomas होते हैं, multiple OKCs होते हैं, anteriorly bifid sixth rib होती है. These are the most important features of nevoid basal cell carcinoma. Other OKCs are peripheral OKC, which can occur entirely in soft tissues, gums, cheeks, or deep lateral facial region, and the pigmented OKC. Very few students write these points. Everyone knows the sporadic OKC, which is the normal OKC, and the nevoid basal cell carcinoma associated OKC, but very few students knows about the other types of OKC. So these are the most important two types of OKC. Make sure you mention them in exam: the peripheral OKC and the pigmented OKC. Pigmented OKC occur in young females, average about 18 years of age, due to the presence of melanocytes in cystic lining. What is the aspirate finding? The standard finding of OKC is the cheesy material, which is highly suggestive of massive keratin production filling the lumen. And occasionally the fluid is clear and straw colored. Radiographic features, there are two images. First is unilocular and second is multilocular. See, it appears as a small, round, ovoid, radiolucent area in early stages, whereas extensive area in late stages. Most are well demarcated with distinct sclerotic margin. These are the sclerotic margin, which suggest unequal growth activity taking place in different parts of the cyst lining. No expansion of bone, but in substantial cases, both buccal and lingual expansion can occur. It also displaced the inferior alveolar canal downward and resulting in perforation of the bone. In multilocular profile, there is a smooth margin.